For our next project, we're going to be focusing on the element of art color. Color is the aspect of things that is caused by differing qualities of light being reflected by them. Essentially, in order to see a color, we have to have light. When a light shines on an object, some colors bounce off the object and other colors are absorbed by it. Our eyes only see the colors that are bounced off or reflected from the object. If you take a look at the right hand side, you will see a color wheel. A color wheel essentially has all the colors on it, such as yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, and green. You can also see a few words that say primary. The primary colors are yellow, blue, and red. These are the colors that we use to mix together the secondary colors, which are green, orange, and purple. So essentially, if you wanted to create orange, as you know, you would mix together the primary colors of yellow and red, which will give you orange. Same thing with blue and red, they will give you purple, and blue and yellow will give you green. Also, there's another word on there which says complementary. We'll explain that in the next slide. Complementary colors are pairs of colors that contrast with each other more than another color. And when they are placed side by side, they make each other look much more brighter and much more vibrant. So if you take a look at the left-hand side color wheel, you will see that the complementary colors are directly across from one another on the color wheel. So for example, yellow and violet are directly across from one another, therefore they are complementary colors. When they are placed next to each other, they are the most vibrant. Same with orange and blue. They are directly across from each other and they are complementary colors. Some things that we see complementary colors in are famous logos or even sports teams. Okay. So as you can see here, Fanta Mountain Dew and the Los Angeles Lakers, they all use complementary colors. The reason why they do this is because they want their art or their advertising logo to look more brighter and to look more vibrant. So this catches the eye of the viewer. The principle of design we're going to be focusing on this art project is balance. Balance is the distribution of the weight, the visual weight of objects, colors, textures, and space. There are three different types of balance: symmetrical, asymmetrical, and radial. Symmetrical is when the elements are used on one side of the design and they are similar to the items or the elements that are used on the other side. So therefore, they feel very balanced and they feel like they have equal weight. Asymmetrical is the opposite. The sides of the artwork are different, but they still can look quite balanced. And then we have radial balance, where the elements are arranged around a central point that may be similar. So essentially, a radial balance goes around in a circle. For the artist that we're going to be focusing on and kind of getting inspired by, his name is Wayne Thiebaud, and he is from America. He was a really famous painter in the 1950s. He is still alive today, actually. He was born in Arizona in the 1920s. When he was younger, he studied cartoons and he became a cartoonist. He was really, really inspired, though, by pop artists like Andy Warhol, who would paint everyday objects. Specifically, he loved painting food. Known for his colorful works depicting commonplace objects such as pies, ice cream cones, pastries, and hot dogs, he really pushed the limits of what art could possibly be. Thiebaud is associated with the pop art movement because of this interest in objects of mass culture, such as food. He uses heavy pigment, so a lot of color, exaggerated color to depict his subjects, and he also created well defined shadows that were always shown in his work. So let's take a look at some of his work. As you can see here, there is lots of different compositions and lots of different types of balance and colors within his artwork. But you can see that the overall theme of his artwork, he really loved to paint food. That was something that he was really interested in, and he really created these really cool compositions that just showed this basic, food item in a really interesting way. So if you take a look at this artwork by Wayne, you can see that there is a lot of color. The colors are exaggerated to make his work stand out. There might be complementary colors in there as well because he wants the food and the objects within his artwork to really stand out. And also there's balance in his artwork. As you can see, there is radial and symmetrical balance. So we're going to be thinking about this in a way because we want to create something that is similar to Wayne's work that has both color and balance in it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be studying a piece of food. Okay. So as you can see here, I have studied an avocado. And what we're going to do with that or that piece of food that you study, we are going to use oil or chalk pastels to create a beautiful work of art. And then we're going to paste it onto a colored paper that is the complementary color of the overall object that we painted or that we colored, I should say. Um, so yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a quick overview as to what to do. Remember, when you're watching this video, you can always pause, rewind, stop, whatever you need to do in order to stay on track with this video. All right, so the first step that you should be thinking about is the brainstorm and the study step. So choose a piece of food that you want to draw. Make sure that you have the food in your house or in front of you, or you can at least get a picture of the food and really study it, looking at it physically in front of you and researching different images of the food on the internet. Think about the color, the size, the texture, things like that. So as you can see, I cut up an avocado. I didn't do such a great job cutting it up. I was about to eat it and I was like, you know what? This avocado is really gorgeous. Like the colors are awesome. Um, I really like how I can make a really cool composition. So I'm going to figure something out there. So that's what you should do first. After that, you should go to step two, which is observe the artwork or the object and sketch. So create a quick observational sketch of the food item that you chose. Sketch the basic shape and the size of the item, and then you can add any details if you need to. What I did, as I said, I actually put the avocado in front of me, laid it in front of me, tried to draw it as best I could. I did a very quick sketch of this just on a white piece of paper, and you should be doing the same thing. Now it's time to do the fun part, which is add color. Okay. So use oil pastels or chalk pastels in order to add color to your food. Remember, there are different techniques that you can do in order to make your food more vibrant. In the next slide, we're going to be seeing how Miss Parlow creates some different techniques with chalk and oil pastels. All right, I'm going to be showing you a few different ways to apply oil pastels to a piece of paper. Oil pastels and chalk pastels can get a little bit messy, so just make sure you have some sort of paper towel nearby to wipe off your hands and things like that, because the powder substance does get kind of on your hands and it will get on your paper if you touch your paper. I'm going to be showing you a few different techniques to apply this. You can use these techniques when you are creating your art. So the first few techniques are going to be pretty simple techniques that you guys know of from when we added value. So let's go over those quickly. The first technique that I'm going to be showing you is hatching. Okay, so when we hatch, we just follow the shape of the item or thing that we're coloring, and we're just creating lines that go in one direction. Okay, so you can hatch with these as well. If you wanted to get a little bit fancier, you can also cross hatch. So just doing the same thing with hatching, but you're adding an extra layer of almost like a grid on your paper. Okay, you can hatch with the same, you can cross hatch and hatch with the same color, or you can use different colors. It's up to you. Okay, the next technique is using the flat edge of your oil pastel or your chalk pastel. So a lot of the time when we apply chalk pastels, we use like the pointy edge, right, like a pencil. But if you want, you can also use the flat edge to create this kind of technique here. Okay. Obviously, if you have a larger piece, you'll create more of a color in a larger area. If you have a smaller piece, it will be a little bit smaller. This creates a nice texture. So if that's something that you are interested in, by all means, you can do that. Another way to add oil pastels or chalk pastels is through a technique called short strokes. So essentially, just creating small lines with the point of your chalk pastel can add some really nice textured strokes. Okay, that's another option. As you know, stippling, one of our favorites, obviously. When we stipple, we're just creating dots. Okay, so you can create small dots like so, or you can make larger circular dots when you stipple. You don't have to stipple, as I said, it's just an option. Okay. The last two techniques are a little bit more, I would say, probably what you are going to be more interested in, which is layering and blending. Okay, so when we are blending colors together, try to pick colors that are similar in color, or that they like are next to each other on the color wheel. If you pick like something like green and red, obviously those are complementary colors, so they may not mix well. But if you pick something like a green and a blue, or green and a darker green, they will mix and blend better together. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take my green, and I'm going to start to apply the color here. Okay, and let's say I want to blend it into a darker green. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the darker green, start to apply this here. Okay. And after I do that, I like to just use my finger, kind of blend some of those colors together so that I have this nice gradation of going from light to dark. Okay. Remember, this is why it's important to have either a paper towel on hand, or some sort of napkin, just to like wipe off your hands if you do want to use some of like your fingers to blend things. Also, if you have the color white, you can also blend. I don't really have a white exactly, but I have this like peachy color. You can also blend things using a white or like a light peachy color together as well. That makes a nice blending technique as well. Okay. Another technique to use is layering. Okay, so I always usually start with the lighter color whenever I'm layering. So whatever color that may be, remember, pick colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. Okay, so I'll start doing that. And then what I'll do is I'll actually start to layer some of this color on top. And I'm going to create like this really nice effect when I'm layering these colors on one another. I can use my finger to blend. It's up to you how you want to apply your colors. So these are just a few different techniques when it comes to using oil pastels or chalk pastels. I'm looking forward to seeing what you create and how you apply your chalk pastels. Okay, so after coloring your entire piece of food, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, there is a lot of like oil pastel chalk and things like that all over the background of my paper. And that's okay, because what you're going to do is you're going to cut your fruit or your food out. Okay. Oil pastels and chalk pastels get really messy, and I totally understand that. Therefore, the background is probably going to get quite dirty from the excess pastel and like the excess chalk that's being kind of whipped up. So you're going to cut out the food that you drew um, and and you colored with a scissor. So after you cut out the food that you colored and drew, you are then going to think about the background, because you just have this piece of food that's kind of floating in space. So remember when we talked about complementary colors? Well, this is where it's going to come into play. So you are going to grab a colored sheet of paper, like a piece of construction paper, that contrasts with the overall color of your food item. So choose the complementary color. So for example, if you take a look at my avocado, it's mostly green. And when I look at the color wheel, I know that green is directly across from red. And so therefore red and green are complementary colors. So I'm going to be choosing red as my background sheet. So I got a red piece of construction paper. And what I did after that is I started to create, figure out where I was laying my avocados or my piece of food. And then I started to create a drop shadow. So remember thinking about that too. Think about the balance also of your art piece. Do you want it right in the center, so it's more of a radial art piece? Do you want it more to the left or to the right? Do you want it to be balanced? How are you going to add either symmetrical, asymmetrical, or radial balance into your artwork? Remember, creating a drop shadow is super easy. All you're going to have to do is just take a black oil pastel and start to create a darker shadow, and then start to spread it out as you continue outward towards the piece. After you've done that, you can then glue down your item onto your colored paper where your drop shadow is. On this screen, you can pause this if you need it, but you'll see that the complementary colors are going to be directly across from the other color. So if you take a look here, the almost like this lightish blue, the color that's directly across from it is this almost lightish orange. So that's going to be the complementary color. Same thing with this, almost like this magenta is the complementary color is going to be like a hunter dark green. So just use this to kind of help you with figuring out exactly what colors you are going to use for your background. Step 6 of this project is you're going to create a 3D creation of your drawing. So essentially, you'll either use Model Magic or any sort of clay to create a 3D version of your food drawing. What you'll do first is you're going to mold and shape the overall form of your food. Um, in the next video, I will explain this a little bit better, but you can use primary colors to create secondary colors. So just remember, if you have red and blue Model Magic, you can put those together and make purple. Same with blue and yellow, you'll make green. Yellow and red will make orange. And then if you want to create a brown, you can always use red, yellow, and blue to create a brown. Remember, there's also going to be white Model Magic for you to take. Use white to create lighter tones of a color. After you form the overall shape of your food, let your food dry for about 2 days because it needs to harden. And then you can use markers or acrylic paint and to add different colors and add different details onto your 3D creation. Let's watch this Model Magic tutorial on just a little bit about what you can do in order to create your 3D version of your project. All right, so I'm going to give you a few tips on how to make your sculptural piece or your 3D piece for our food project. Okay, so remember, you're taking your food oil pastel project that you drew, and essentially now we're going to make a 3D sculpture to go along with it. What you will need for this is you'll need some sort of clay. So if you have air dry clay at home, you can use that. If you have Model Magic, you can use that. It's really up to you. Even if you have Play-Doh at home and you want to make a quick sculpture out of Play-Doh, you totally can. I will provide you with Model Magic up at the front desk that you can come and pick up if you choose, or you can really buy Model Magic anywhere at any a dollar store or even a craft store like Michael's. The Model Magics that I'm going to be providing you up in the front office or the front desk, security desk, is going to be, they're going to look like this. They come in small packages. There is white, there is red, yellow, and blue. Those are the only colors I have. So therefore, if you are choosing to create something that maybe isn't any of these colors, or you want to create your own colors, grab, one or two of these whites. You don't have to grab that many of them. Just to let you know, they're not, we're not making a huge sculpture. We're literally making one that fits in the size of our hand. You can grab one or two. If you need, green, then obviously you're going to grab blue and yellow, because blue and yellow together will make green. If you have something that's orange, like an orange or a piece of fruit, you would grab yellow and red. And if you have something that's purple, like an eggplant or something like that, you would grab blue and red to create purple. Then anytime that you have white as well, you can always make lighter tones and things like that by mixing the colors. So I'm going to quickly just show you. I'm making an avocado, obviously, and my avocado is green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by mixing a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue just to kind of get this started. And I'm just going to mix this together just like so. Now, if you don't want to mix colors together and you'd rather just use white, and then you can mold your white however you want. After you do that, you can then let it dry for about 72 hours. And after 72 hours, you can then paint it with acrylic paint or tempera paint, or you can even color it with markers or Sharpies. So you don't have to use the colors of Model Magic if you don't want to. So I'm starting to get this really nice green, which is perfect because obviously, like, the avocado does have this nice minty green here. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more yellow and blue, because I know that I need 2 pieces of the avocado. So I just want to continue to mold this together and squeeze it together to kind of just form this really nice limey avocado-y green color. And I'm just pressing together and kneading this. So this is looking like a really great color for an avocado, which I'm super excited about. And I might do, honestly, a little bit more, to be honest. Get some of that and some of this. All right, so after I get the amount of color, or the color that I want, as I said, if you feel like you need more blue and you don't have any more blue, you can always take a Sharpie marker or a regular marker and color right on top of it, or you can then mix it together, or you could just wait to paint it at the end after it dries. Remember, it takes 72 hours to dry, so just before you paint it, make sure that you let it dry. So I'm just making this really nice green color, which is perfect for my avocado. Just want to make sure that all that color, all the blue and the yellow, are really mixed together well. Okay, perfect color for my avocado. What I am also going to do is I'm going to be using this yellow, and I'm taking this yellow right now. And with Model Magic, guys, if you leave it out for a very long time, it is going to start to harden. So when you open your Model Magic, just make sure that you really start to use it ASAP so that it doesn't start to harden. As I said, it takes about 72 hours to completely harden, but I could start to feel already it's starting to harden just a little bit. So I'm just making this other limey yellowy green because in an avocado there's lots of different green colors and like yellows and things like that. So I'm just trying to get this color as well. All right, so that looks pretty good. I am going to need a really dark green, so I might save that for a little bit later to create. I'm thinking, because I don't think I'll have, well, let's test it out. I think this will be too light, so I may have to color it, which is totally okay. Yeah, this is going to be way too bluish, and I need it to be darker, so that's okay. I'll figure that out when it comes. All right, so what I'm going to do now after I've created my colors is I'm going to start to mold my overall shape. Remember, we are not making a huge sculpture, like it should fit in the palm of your hand. So what I'm going to start to do is I'm just going to start to mold this into the shape of an avocado as best as I can. I'm just using my fingers. If you want to use any tools that you have at home, like a plastic knife or a plastic fork to make any sort of color, you can, or any sort of shape you can. I'm just thinking about the form of the avocado that I was looking at. And just want to get this a little bit more round. Model Magic's really easy to mold, so just be aware of that. Okay. I'm just kind of making this cute little shape for my avocado. Using my fingers, as you can see, and my hands, and just applying some pressure wherever I feel like I need it. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, we're just trying to have fun with this project. All right, so that looks pretty good. What I'm gonna do now is I am gonna take this like yellowish color, and I'm gonna start to kind of add a little bit of extra layer to this. And I know that I have 2 avocado halves, so this will be my first one. And then this will be my second one. Oops. And I'm just forming them quickly. Also flattening them a little bit. I'll add more curvature in the back at a later point, but I just wanted to show you some basic techniques. Okay. All right, so this is looking cute. Okay, now I'm going to start to take my next color. Now remember, as I said, if you are someone who wants to use different colors and paint, you totally can. All you have to do is form it first, form the shape of everything, and then you can start to apply different colors with either a Sharpie or a marker or any sort of paint. So just remember that. So what I am going to do here now is I kind of want to make this like greenish, yellowish layer here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just making the overall shape of this. Remember, use like light pressure on your sculpture. Model Magic is very easy to mold and, you know, maneuver, so just be aware of that. Okay, so as you can see, I got some color on there. What I definitely want to do at some point is I want to add almost like a dark green around the edge here, which I'm not going to do right now because actually maybe I could do, I don't know. So I think I'm going to paint some extra details on at a later point. But I definitely want to make the pit. So just to let you know, when you mix the primary colors, blue, yellow, and red, you should get a brown. So let's test that. As long as you mix like equal parts. This is very purpley, so I'm going to have to add some more yellow. And it's starting to turn into a brown, which is perfect for my pit of my avocado. Also, I definitely want to put almost like a circle in here because this is the side that has the where the pit would go. Okay. So I'm making this brown now. And this is like this like reddish brown, so this is perfect for a pit. And as I said, just like mixing colors is gonna really help adding details with Sharpies or markers or paint, whatever you want to add with, it's really up to you. All right, so make sure that you also hand this in with your art, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.